Welcome everyone to Put Your Marketing Money Where Your Mouth Is. This webinar is designed to share with you how to prepare and manage a small business marketing budget for 2015. Victor and I are just excited about sharing this because we think this is really important. This is going to be so helpful to so many people when it comes to business and success. So we're going to introduce ourselves. I mentioned a second ago. But I'm going to tell you a little bit more about me. And let me pull up the next slide here. There we go. I am the Chief Inbound Marketer at Relaunch You, and Relaunch You is an inbound marketing agency. We specialize with companies that do business with other companies, and we specialize in helping them create a lead generation machine and a lead nurturing system with their website as the hub. So internet marketing is all about what I do, and I love it. But I have been partnered with quite some time now with a number of webinars, when we relate to webinars, with Victor Clark, because I love his business. What they do is so complimentary, and I'm going to let him tell you a little bit more about himself.
Okay, I am Victor Clark. I am the owner of Clark Incorporated, and like Marguerite says, Marguerite and Relaunch You are many things to us. They're a service provider, they're a customer, they're a partner, and we work real close with Marguerite on a lot of strategic things with our customers, and then from that, then we form the delivery of those marketing media for our customers. So we are your hub for managing the creation, distribution, and management of marketing media. And using Marguerite's help and our internal resources here, we market your business using print, websites, mobile sites, apps, promotional banners, posters, etc. And that's what we do here.
Thank you, Victor. And I just want to say hi to Bill, who just signed on. Thank you so much for joining. We're going to move right into a lovely little quote here that Victor pulled up that I love. Go ahead.
I was looking for a quote to get us started here about planning, and I came across this one. Yogi Berra, a great baseball player, but probably just as well known, if not more well known, for his malapropisms that he's quoted on. So, a great American philosopher, Yogi Berra, said, "If you don't know where you are going, you just might get there." Like the picture shows, danger. If you are here, you are lost. You really need to be planning, writing it down, putting it on paper. What you want to do in 2015. As another quote that I didn't pick, but just as good from Yogi, is when you come to a fork in the road, take it. So you just need to be prepared when you come to that fork in the road, which way you're going to go, left or right. Marketing is a lifeline of your business, and what makes your business shrink and grow. And for those who have not set goals, it's important to start thinking about it now. The other thing Marguerite and I want to make sure of is that none of our clients are graduates of the Christopher Columbus School of Business. Are you all familiar? Have you all heard of the Christopher Columbus School of Business? When Columbus left Spain, he didn't know where he was going. When he got to America, he didn't know where he was. And when he got back, he didn't know where he had been. So we want to make sure you are not a graduate of the Christopher Columbus School of Business. Marguerite?
Yeah, Victor and I are firm believers of marketing. Obviously, that's why we're in the business, because we know that that's what makes businesses grow, and it's what, if we don't do it, makes businesses shrink. And this is the foundation. This is the launch point. So I love the Christopher Columbus School analogies here. It's just so perfect. Here's what we're going to be covering. We'll go over an overview of how you set goals, because you have to do that before you can do any budgeting. Budget doesn't work without goals. So we're going to talk about, well, what are goals? How do you set them? How do you operate a SWOT analysis, which is a strength, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats analysis, so you really know where to focus your time and your money. We talk a little bit about how to focus on who you're targeting, and then we go into the design of an action plan, and then how that ties right into the development of a budget. and really what is the long-term picture of what we're trying to accomplish here. So we're going to hit you with a ton of stuff from a fire hose. I hope you're ready. It's going to be good. So kicking it off here with goal setting, there's basically every business has to start with goals. Business goals are how you kick it off. It's what do they want to accomplish? What is the destination? What are we trying to achieve? Often we're talking about goals that are revenue-based, sales-based, cost-based, quality, speed of service. Could be a ton of other things. I mean, I wrote down that I wanted a new office staff by the end of this quarter, which I guess I'm running out of time to go out and get, or certifications that I want to make sure that I'm certified in. These are all very important business goals to me. And from these business goals, particularly in the area of sales, comes our next set of goals, which Victor's going to build on.
Yeah, we want to talk a little bit about, particular to this webinar, is we want to talk about our marketing goals and how they support our business goals. And again, a goal is the end toward which an effort is directed. It's your destination. And you want to write these down, put them in writing, put them in a place where you can see them. You know, you don't want a whole bunch of goals. If you set a dozen of them, it's just impossible to track it and keep up with it. So think in terms of creating probably 2 to 3 marketing goals. Then those are supported by objectives, strategy, and tactics. You know, an obvious one somebody may want to do is I want to increase revenue. Another one, I want to increase my profits. Those are pretty obvious ones. You may have some different ones you want to achieve, but one maybe you haven't thought about that I really want you to think about when you write these 2 to 3 goals for 2015 is I want you to consider one to be what I call a BHAG, B-H-A-G, BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal. Something that's a stretch for you to reach. The first 2 definitely need to be achievable, and make that BHAG something that's a stretch when you get it and you say, man, I can really pat myself on the back that I did something here.
That's great. So if we're moving from marketing goals, just like Victor was saying, we have to move into what are our specific objectives. Oops, I'm sorry about all this stuff popping up here. I should have turned it off first. Objectives come from your goals. It's a measure of change in order to achieve the goal that we've set. So we want to get 20 leads a month. We want 500 visitors to my website. I want a 2% conversion rate on my website. Those are the goals. How are we going to get there? Is it blogging? Is it a direct mail campaign? Are we going to do some email marketing? Are we going to hire pay-per-click? Once we know those objectives, then we can actually design the strategy. 2 direct mail campaigns using this certain coupon. We're going to attend the XYZ trade show. There's more involved here, but these are just examples of how we move from goal to objective to strategy. But this is not complete here. There is one more thing that must be done, and I'm sure you've heard of this before, but we have to visit it again. You have to make them smart. Now, why make them smart? If you write SMART goals, then it becomes undeniably clear about what needs to be accomplished. Maybe in your head, when you write them, you already kind of know what you want to have done, where you're going, but your partner may not, your boss may not, or vice versa, your employees or your vendors. When we have very clear goals, there's no question about exactly what we're considering. Increased website traffic is not specific, and it's not measurable. Increased website traffic from social media, 50%, is specific and it's measurable. It also lets you recognize successes and challenges, and it helps you create priorities and boundaries around your marketing activities so you don't get lost on these rabbit trails that seem really fun. Oh, let's go make another Facebook page, when really that's not part of our goal here, for example. I'm going to let Victor explain the rest of these to you guys just to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Yeah, we'll go over this real quick because probably I'm sure most everybody is familiar with SMART goals and the acronym, but Marguerite and I thought it would be helpful to touch on this real quickly before we get into how to use some of the tools we've provided to you, the spreadsheet and the form for filling out your goals and objectives. So SMART goals, S-M-A-R-T, specific. S stands for specific. That's the who, what, when, where, and why. Be as specific as possible when you're putting those down. Avoid anybody, somebody, someone, something that's just not specific enough. So who's going to be in charge of it? What are they going to do? When are they going to finish it? Where are they going to accomplish it? And why are they doing this? Make sure the goals are specific, measurable. How much? How many? When will the goal be accomplished? Typically, this is expressed in dollar signs and percentages, numbers, dates, those sort of things, so you can measure it. A is for achievable, attitudes, abilities, skills, financial ability. Make sure that you have the right people on the bus to help you with this, and make sure you have the right people in the right seats on that bus. Make sure that they have the right attitude, the ability, and the skills to meet the goals, tactics, objectives that you set for them, and do you have the money to pull it off? Are these goals realistic? Are you willing to, as Vince Lombardi said, are you willing to pay the price? Are you willing to do what you have to do to be able to work towards achieving these SMART goals? And then finally, make it timely. Set a time frame. You need to create a sense of urgency to get these goals accomplished.
All right, super. Especially with the realistic stuff, I think a lot of people have questions about that. How do I know my goals are realistic? Either you have to look at past performance, or if you don't have that available, then you need to look at industry standards. What is your standard email open rate? What is the standard conversion rate on conversion percentage on a website? And then work from there. Working with, I would suggest, like the easiest or most likely kind of numbers. Don't set any sort of high-end results expecting that. Make it as easy as possible to accomplish. Now, before you go into writing your marketing objectives, I highly recommend doing a SWOT analysis. You've got your goals in place, okay? You know your marketing goals are to do all these things with number of leads and so forth that you want to bring into your business. But before you can really finalize your objectives, you got to take a look. What are we really strong at? In this example here, I've just popped in some examples. We've got a contact database. That's really strong. We've got a good database. It's full of qualified people to market to. They like opening our emails. Okay, that's a great strength. Jason on the team, he has really good graphic design. His stuff's really catchy. Everybody's very responsible and productive. Things get done. You know, we're good with our meetings. These are strengths. Possible weaknesses. I can't get really good performance data on our internet activities, or Susan's responsible for managing marketing and doing all the selling, so she's limited in her time. Our website's really old. It hasn't been updated in the last 3 years. There's outdated information. You know, so this clues you in a lot into that marketing objective. If one of the goals was to increase website traffic, obviously an objective would be to get the website updated, and because it's clearly a weakness here. Examples of opportunities might be something new in the future, a tool, an event, maybe it's a good vendor, a new employee. Those kind of things are good opportunities to capitalize on. And then threats could be the opposite, those things leaving. So those are some good examples of SWOTs, and I would say do it once a year, even every 6 months, and it's going to really open your eyes about where to place your priorities.
You know, a point of weakness, Marguerite and I usually see with our clients is really a lack of understanding of their target market. So using a SWOT analysis should be a pretty quick, simple way to really understand your target. You know, use this, keep it simple, short, specific. You know, she only had a couple bullet points on there, real short phrases. You can use this as a serious business tool, or if you've got some employees or coworkers or contractors helping you with this, use it as an icebreaker to get the discussion started. It's a great way to get people talking.
Yeah, I went ahead in the slides there, so I apologize. But absolutely, you're right. This is don't spend too much time on it, but make sure everybody's on the same page, especially if you have to report to someone else about why you're planning to spend money a certain way. This SWOT analysis will help validate why you're budgeting your money and setting goals in a certain direction. Now, something that we often see with clients that we work with is their need to develop a better understanding of who their client is, who they're targeting in business. And we like to use something called a persona. And a buyer persona is simply just a description of who our ideal client is, but it's more than demographics. You can see that here. This is a fictitious description, but it's real life. Like, we actually give them a name, and we use the terminology like they're a real person. But besides information such as age and income and their job experience, we also look at what are their goals in life, what are their goals in business. You know, if we're doing B2B marketing, what are their goals in business? What are they responsible for around the home, with their friends, in their business? How is their performance measured? You know, either themselves and what they value or measured by other people. What kind of challenges from the outside or the inside will inhibit them from making changes that are positive, especially the changes that your company is bringing to them? What is their status quo? What are they going to live with? What are they going to deal with? Like, I think about for the Browns, you know, for IT, the status quo is I just deal with a crappy computer system or a crappy networking system and, you know, just do some workarounds until I really get to the point where I feel like I have to have someone come in or everything gets so dysfunctional I can't move my business forward. You know, depending on the type of business that you're targeting, you know, the status quo will be slightly different, but that's kind of things that I think of. But what's going to drive them to change? What's going to inhibit them from changing? And when we can answer their 10 most common questions in relationship to what I deliver or the business we deliver, and we'll know that we're going to be hitting a home run with them in our communications via blog or even just in the sales conversation. Victor, what would you like to add to this, your use of the persona?
Well, we actually have two personas, you know, and some people actually may have a third. So you don't have to create just one persona. You can create a secondary and tertiary, and then from there you can write your business plans, your content, and those things to what particular client you're looking for. And I think the biggest thing we found that helped us was, what are the 10 most common questions our buyer persona asked us, and what are our answers? And it's so easy to develop your goals in your marketing content using that.
And this will improve communication within your business when you're working with multiple people and vendors, because they're going to say, well, who's your person you do business with? You can be like, here's the piece of paper, read it, and they get it. You know, it's right there. And it helps you formulate your marketing strategy, like Victor said. When we understand this kind of information, we know what sort of social media they're on. We know about their time limitations or challenges. You know, we need to be writing about the technology that they're using day to day so that we can make sure that we're delivering our marketing media through that. I think I hear a question. Yes? Well, actually, I was going to pause and see what questions anybody had. You're welcome to type it into chat, or you can pipe up there on the phone. What questions do you have so far about the persona or about SWOT?
Is that a jet flying over your house again?
Well, if you've got the loud noise in the background there at your place, just go ahead and mute your phone. That would be helpful. All right, well, we're going to move forward then with what we're sharing here. And Victor's going to talk about that goal-setting sheet.
Yeah, let's talk about the goal-setting sheet. And when you registered for the webinar, you should have received a copy of this Word document in addition to the spreadsheet for the budget calculator. This is an example of a goal-setting worksheet that we have used here 15, 16, 17 years to plan the upcoming year in our office. And what you got is you should have a blank form, and I would just make multiple copies of that as many times as you need necessary to create your goal-setting plan for 2015. You know, we talked a little bit about 2 to 3 goals, no more than 3 definitely for the year. But then you may have multiple objectives to support an individual goal. In fact, you may have probably no more than 6, but anywhere between 1 to 6 objectives to support a goal. So if your goal is to drive 25% more qualified marketing to the website, one objective is to blog 3 to 4 times a month. Make a copy of that sheet and then say objective number 2 is maybe to publish content quarterly, an ebook or something like that, to try to drive more leads to your web page. So you can have multiple objectives to support a single goal. And the same applies to strategy. You may have multiple strategies supporting an objective that supports the goal. So for goal number 1, you may have 2 objectives and 3 strategies to support each objective. So you'd have a total of 6 strategies to reach your goal of 25% more marketing qualified traffic. And does that kind of make sense? This kind of, look at it as a decision branch. It keeps branching out as you go a little deeper. So it's like a pyramid. At the top is your goal, and then it branches out to a wider base of objectives and strategies. So let's take a look at this as how this applies to SMART goals. Is this specific? Yeah, our objective and our strategy is pretty specific. We're gonna blog 3 to 4 times a month, and we're going to drive 25% more traffic. Is it measurable? Well, we've got some boxes in there, some cells to fill in, 4 places for measurements. Sometimes you may have only 1 measurement. Sometimes it may be do or do not. Sometimes you may have 4 measurements in there of ways to track your success to achieving those strategies and objectives. And then is it realistic? Well, yeah, it's realistic because we got some responsibilities here. We're going to name the person that is responsible for achieving this strategy and objective. In this particular instance, Margarita is a small business owner. She assigned herself as a responsible person and also the person to handle the action steps. But it doesn't necessarily have to be the same person who is responsible and the same person who is assigned to achieving these action steps. You see, most of us I think, are small businesses in this, so likely the business owner is going to be the responsible person. Like myself, I'm the responsible person, but I don't necessarily have to do all the actions myself. I can assign them to coworkers. Heck, Marguerite's going to get a couple action steps on my 2015 business plan. She just doesn't know it yet that I'm writing. But the responsible person has the monkey on their back to make sure the individuals assigned to the action steps make it happen. So it is realistic. Is it timely? Yeah, we got a place we're going to start, and we got a date we're going to stop. We're setting hard dates, hard stop date, and then is it achievable? Have we looked at all the things that may get in our way of achieving this goal, and what kind of roadblocks are we going to have to get over? And we've got places down there to fill in any potential roadblocks to achieving this strategy. And then, Marguerite, if you go to the next slide, it kind of gives an example of, if you take a look at the responsible person and then the assignments, it'll just kind of give you a different example of how she's done this. She's still the responsible person of driving that website traffic, but one of the action steps, or 2 of the action steps rather, she's assigned to Jamar to help her with. Does that? I'll stop here and see if anybody's got any questions. If this is kind of clear as to how you fill out this form and people understand the difference between the definition of goals, objectives, strategies, and tactics.
Please type in your questions. That would be helpful. And you should be seeing a little thing pop up on your dashboard for GoToMeeting. Little messages coming up. That's where you can type in yours. Everybody will see it. We'll see it too. And that will make it easy for us just to read your question and verbalize it back. Just to add on to what Victor was doing here, so you can see that this is a second objective to the same goal on the prior one, but this second objective is talking about qualified social media traffic with a certain number or percentage. And then the strategy is to use to build connections with targeted prospects. We have a list of vendor services that I'm targeting, vendor companies in the training industry that I'm targeting, and so I'm using that to build my social media. I'm going out there and integrate and connecting with people on Twitter and LinkedIn in a very specific way so that they can see exposure to what content I offer on that media, and that would drive them to the website. So that's some examples about this. Now, if this is sort of like, wow, I don't know if I can figure all this out, then this is a good point to get some people that specialize in marketing to help out. It's okay. If you get a rough draft started on this, that's better than nothing. No one's expecting you to fill out these things perfectly the first time around. And I think Victor can speak really well into the level of effort you should expect on this. What do you do, Victor? How much time?
Yeah, this is going to take a couple weeks to get done, to sit down, write a rough draft, then bring in all your stakeholders, whether it's your boss, your employees, your coworkers, maybe it's an outside service consultants, marketing consultants, a CPA, something like that. I usually allow myself about 4 weeks to get this done and just continually revise this. And really just think about it, it's not going to be perfect. You're never going to get everything exactly right, but implement now, perfect later. Get it going now, implement it, and then worry about perfecting it later as the time goes on and you start to get some hard data.
That's perfect. So just a recap before moving to the next slide, what we've done is we've outlined our business goals. We know what they are. They've been communicated to us. We have written our marketing goals that support the business goals, and we've done a SWOT analysis in order to create the most relevant objectives that will support our marketing goals, and we have listed the strategy we're going to use. Because we've listed a strategy, we know the people that we need to get involved, how we're assigning them. You're going to find this is critical to budgeting. You can see that. I have to know how much money I'm planning to pay Jamar to do this work, right, in this example here. And I have to know exactly what he's working on, and he needs to know that too. And this is information I share with Jamar because he needs to know my goals and he can understand the level of relevance this is in terms of the role that he plays.
Yeah, and well, going back to sharing this, once you go through all these 4 weeks of blood, sweat, and tears and hard work of getting this done, don't put this in a drawer and then look at it again on December 31st, 2015. Pull it out, leave it at a place where you can see it, constantly review this, at least every 30 days. Sit down and review this with all your stakeholders in this, and update as it goes along, and give yourself permission that you're not actually going to meet all the goals. It happens sometimes, but the worst thing you do is spend all this hard work and then shove it in a drawer and don't look at it again for 365 days later.
Yeah, pull it out every month.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, so let's see. What we're going to talk about here just briefly before we go to the next tool is just a concept that I want to make sure everybody understands because this plays a role in how you use the tool. All marketing has campaigns. You're probably very familiar with that term. What exactly is a campaign? It's a set of marketing activities, often like a strategy that we just talked about, to accomplish a specific goal. So when you look at campaigns, you're going to look at two different kinds. There's your short campaign, and this is very common in small businesses. Short campaigns mean they don't last very long. A matter of weeks, maybe a month, that's about typical. When you do short campaigns, you usually have a bunch of money that you might be putting into that to kind of blast it out there and get it moving. And there's some additional costs. Maybe if you haven't planned your short campaigns out ahead of time, a lot of people pull it out of their cash flow. Usually you get fast results. We're looking to boost sales immediately. Short campaigns are always spaced apart. They're not typically back-to-back. You may or may not repeat it depending on how successful it is, or you may not be able to repeat it until next year, until next Christmas or that holiday season that makes sense, or that time of year where there's special events going on that's a chance for you to capitalize upon. So that's kind of a description of short campaigns. But what's more important that we have to keep in mind as business owners are ongoing campaigns. This is stuff that's done every month on a regular basis. And it's usually a monthly schedule. It could be a weekly schedule even. Regular activities. It's always reviewed and improved. And it usually builds equity in marketing. Very well-known ongoing campaigns would just be what you're doing on social media, for example. And or blogging. That's another good example of we're not going to just blog for 3 months and then stop and then 3 months later start it again. We want to do it on a regular basis because we're building equity in our organic traffic to our website, we're building equity in our social media reach as we continue to expand that on a regular interval with a regular strategy or approach.
I think probably most small businesses are probably more familiar with the short campaigns, a little short burst of energy where you've got the holidays, you've got an event, oh, I've got some excess inventory I got to move. But we need to focus more as small businesses on is the ongoing campaigns, which is where that word planning document in the spreadsheet, budgeting spreadsheet you're about to see really helps you. It's the ongoing campaigns that really drives the growth of the business. And you know, in this short attention span world of MTV and 140-character Twitter bursts, it's hard to get people to wrap their head around ongoing campaigns. But that's really the most important thing that a small business can do is these regular activities to continue to drive top-of-mind memory with their customers and build equity with them.
Yeah, as you're building your strategy, you know, on that worksheet that we just looked at, look to see which ones are short campaigns and which one are ongoing, and where is a balance in that. That makes sense for our business. All right, we're almost ready to look at the budget. There's just a couple more things.
Okay, so well, we're not Christopher Columbus. We know where we've been. We know where we're going. We know where we've been. We know where we were when we got back. So we've done that. Now we need answers for do we have the cash flow to achieve these goals? If not, do we need to get more capital? Or if the answer to that is no, then maybe we need to reevaluate our goals a little bit. So now that you've got it in writing what you want to do, now let's go to this budgeting spreadsheet and see, do we have the funds to support what we want to do? And Marguerite's going to go through that here, but I just kind of want to offer up a quick note to everybody when you're using that spreadsheet. Please make a copy of it and save the original, and then use your copy to do your calculations in. Only fill in numbers where the cells are highlighted in red, because if you try to fill in a number in a cell that's not highlighted in red, you may blow up a formula which destroys the spreadsheet. So make a copy of it, keep it for safekeeping. If for some reason that it does get messed up, let me or Marguerite know, and we'll send you a new copy of it. And use this calculator. You can work both forward and backwards with this. You can have a starting budget and say, I know I got this much money. How do I want to allocate it? Or you can work backwards and say, I know I want to achieve this goal. How much money is it going to take me to get to that? So with that being said, I'll let Marguerite jump in and start kind of guiding you around how this spreadsheet works.
All right, so the spreadsheet covers the whole year, and some people like to plan for the whole year. Some people like to plan quarterly or every 6 months, so you can do whatever works best for you. I love doing the 12-week year. That's my approach. I do things quarterly, but I do want to track what happens all year. So using this both as a forecasting tool and then also looking at past performance is really helpful. You can type in your starting budget up here at the top, or if you don't know what it is, you can leave it blank, and it's just going to total it up here, how much has been spent and how much is remaining. I plugged in a bunch of numbers, and you can see that if my budget was $16,000 and I typed in a bunch of numbers that equates to about $15,000 and some change, then my budget remaining is $161. Now, if I come over here under the month of January, and you can see I've allocated for salaries. This is what we are tracking how much money we're spending on staff to spend their time on marketing. And this is really important to get the big picture to understand the cost of acquiring a new customer. We don't want to just track, you know, the standard marketing stuff that we spend money on, that we think of, like our website or on a direct mail campaign. Those are all important, but we also need to know our time. If you're a business owner involved in marketing, your salary needs to be up there based on how much time you believe you're going to be spending working on the marketing, and any other employees. And just to show you an example here, I did on another tab of the spreadsheet, just some rough numbers. I pretend like here there's Mary. She makes $35,000 annually as a salary, and she spends 45% of her time on the job with marketing. So I estimate over the year about $15,000 of her salary goes towards marketing efforts. And then JoJo and Jamar are different. They've got an hourly rate and the estimate number of hours each month. So I add it up before taxes, and I get a per month expense when it comes to the salary that I type in here. And you can see we can add benefits, payroll taxes. There's a lot of other items that may or may not be relevant to you. Just leave it blank. You can make it 0. Bonuses are good to track if you're creating incentives for people to go out there and draw in leads, for example, or other miscellaneous expenses. But as I fill in this as a budget, let's say January, this is all just budget information. I'm going to come back in February, and I'm going to type in the real numbers that actually happened. So I've got an ongoing understanding of how much I'm going into the red on my budget, or how much I have that I can flex with, in the future months that are upcoming. So I've chatted a little bit about staff. Market research, I love that this is in here because a lot of small businesses don't always take the time to really understand the marketplace. Important, of course, when they first start out, a lot of people will put some research into understanding the size of the market around them and the people they're targeting and their competition and substitute products and pricing and competitive marketing tactics, all that kind of stuff. We really need to do that every year. We have to be doing research every year. Things change. The market changes. Is it growing? Is it shrinking? Are consumer expectations changing? Are there more options available than there were beforehand? Or is that what they want? So what about the channel that I'm delivering these services or products? Does that need to be improved? That's why you want to put in some time here if you're doing the research or if you're hiring a vendor to do that, and make that part of your annual budget. Now, Victor's going to touch on here communications and customer growth.
Yeah, this is the marketing communications. That's really the media that you're going to be using. Typically, probably most of these are going to be outside costs of things that you're going to have to spend to get your message out to your customers. Maybe you need to hire a firm to help you with branding or your website optimization and monthly maintenance. Plug that in. If there's a monthly rate, you can plug that in, obviously 12 months all the way across. You may use email marketing software as a service out there, or a sales or something like Salesforce to help track you with your sales and your follow-up and those sort of things. And then things we're all familiar with: print, brochures, flyers, posters, collateral like promotional items you may do for a trade show. Under events, you could have that would be where trade shows would be, for booth rental, and don't forget to plug in hotel and travel and food and all that. And if you're creating some videos, you may need some help. And if you hire somebody with your social media too, obviously you may not do all these, like Marguerite said, leave them blank, or maybe you can go into these cells and retype the descriptions there too, if there's a description that makes more sense to you and what you're doing.
Yeah, so feel free to edit this spreadsheet with the subject matter over here on the left. Definitely do that. And we recommend keeping all the numbers here as 0 if you're not going to apply something to that. The other items down here that you can track is internal customer growth and retention. It's good to track those numbers separately so that you can budget money towards that separately. Maybe 25% of your marketing budget goes towards customer growth and retention. Building, increasing the number of sales with current customers and keeping them around longer. So you could put in the number, you could revise what's written on here, customer loyalty scheme, for example, with some sort of program that we have that keeps people coming back, how much we're putting into that. And it's also good to separately track agencies that you work with or outside vendors. So up here, marketing communications are going to be more of the money that you're spending in-house on these tools, but if you're outsourcing, go ahead and make that a separate thing so you can understand expenses in-house versus what you're sending to other people outside. And then you can look at your balance overall of your marketing and get an idea about inside, outside sourcing and what makes most sense, because you might be able to get more from in-house sourcing with the salaries up here and the cost here, or it might be better to get that expertise from the agency. But I love the way the spreadsheet is set up. You can get the year-end totals on every line item. You can also get the monthly cost totals. If you come down to the bottom, though, here's the grand total. I know this is what I budgeted every month cash-wise that I need to be prepared for in my business to pay for. And, of course, there's your grand total right there that pops up to the top. So this is the first page of the spreadsheet. There's a couple other pages on here you might find of interest, though.
Yeah, there's a couple of tabs on here, and I will say just the tabs are not linked to each other. They're all individual tabs. So these last three tabs are kind of, if you're doing some quick calculations on maybe some campaigns or some events or something like that, use the marketing budget tab, the one Marguerite just went over for your overall budget. But if you've got, say, for example, a trade show that you're going here, you have, let's call this an individual campaign, and you're going to a trade show and you need to know the salaries of the people that are going to be working there, their hourly rates, et cetera. Plug those numbers there into the red shaded cells. And then under marketing communications, kind of take your best guesstimate, use previous history of the number of people maybe you're going to send an invitation to, direct mail invitation to your trade show, what it costs to put all the cost in there to produce, print, postage, mail house. Maybe you're going to put a premium in there, total cost of direct mail presence. You know, maybe you've put a premium in there to entice them to come in or something like that. And what it will do over on the right-hand side under the campaign return on investment calculator is let you know, is this particular event worth my time? In this case, just some hypothetical numbers Marguerite and I typed in. It shows, yeah, it's a positive number. We get a 19% return on investment for this particular campaign that we're doing. You know, 19% may be awful for some businesses. It may be great for others. It just sort of varies and depends on the business that you're in. If you're selling a high-ticket item, 19% is probably not so good. But if you're selling something that moves pretty quick and fast, product that moves quick and fast, 19% could be really good. So that's just a quick way to calculate possibly a trade show. The general ROI calculator, the next tab down there, Marguerite, if you want to click on that.
Oh, could I hit on the ROI calculator here really quick? This is great because this is total cost. It's important to add in what you expect your response rate will be to the marketing, and then what you expect the conversion rate to a sale will be, because there's two steps. You're out there and you're at the trade show, let's say, and we expect 10% of the people to stop by, which is really 10 people, just for kicks here. And we're estimating that cost per response, and that's calculated for us based on all that we're putting into it. It's going to be like $21 a person that's coming to this trade show. That's what that stops by our booth. And if we believe 25% of them will convert into a sale, which is just 3 people, the cost per conversion is $84. And then we can add in average profit or surplus made on that sale, and that how it gives us our total profit minus the cost of the campaign, and that gives us our ROI. So do plug in the numbers for the event costs, your communications, and your people, and then lastly come over here and get your percentages in that you expect for people to convert on your marketing and then to a sale to really get this number. I love how you can do this to give you an idea of going to that trade show or doing direct mail campaigns worth the effort. And it just lets you know, we keep using the trade show example. This is not just for trade shows, but it does work well for.
Yeah, that was just an example we're using. And here's another ROI calculator. You know, maybe you use this for a direct mail campaign, for example, or I'm going to print out some rack cards to put out at the local chambers of commerce. You know, how much am I going to get my money back? And again, the calculator works the same way. Just another little quick way to calculate it, get your return on investment. Marguerite went through about your expected response rate and conversion rate. You know, use your best guesstimate, best judgment to put those percentages in as accurately as you can. to see whether it makes sense to go out and print a couple thousand rack cards to put out in the local chambers of commerce or visitor centers or those sort of things, to see if you do get business out of it that covers the cost and expense of you producing those rack cards.
And if you don't know what those numbers may look like, certainly the provider of the print services, maybe even the person providing the list, if you're buying a list or renting it, they can give you some ideas. No one can make any promises because every vertical in business, every type of industry has sort of a different response rate, and it depends highly on what it is that you're actually sending out in the mail. You know, the kind of information that you're sending, and that makes a big, big difference. So
I think that's a whole nother webinar we did on direct mail of what makes it work and what doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll do that one again soon.
Yeah. And then finally, return on assets. If this is more applicable if you were a manufacturer, let's say to complete a campaign, you needed to go out and invest in a fairly hefty piece of equipment. You know, if you're just buying like a laser printer or something for $1,000, this probably isn't really applicable. But if you need to go out and buy a wide format plotter or something to produce some posters that cost tens of thousands of dollars, if you're going to it's a good way to determine, is it worth it for me to go buy the equipment myself or just continue to outsource it to somebody who already owns that equipment to figure your return on assets. And again, the higher dollar value of the assets, the higher percentage you want to get return on it because you want to get your money back as quick as possible.
That is our summary here on how to use this spreadsheet. I'm sure that we haven't answered all your questions, so you are definitely welcome to type those in, and we will come back to that. We want to make sure that you feel confident enough to walk away and use this in a manner that is profitable for your business. So please do let us know. All right, so what's the end game in all of this? I mean, Victor and I just shot out like about a billion things for you seemingly to do. Why put all this effort and thought into the marketing other than the fact that we want to see our business succeed, right? Well, what are we ultimately looking for? What's our takeaway? We are looking for how much does it cost you to gain a new client or a customer. That is an important number for you to track because it's not about how much money am I spending this month on marketing? Oh my gosh, it seems like I'm spending a lot, or really I'm not spending any. I mean, what is the right number? Well, there's no specific answer. Every business is different, but I can give you some guidelines. And one of them that's the most important is every year is your cost to acquire a customer going down, because economies of scale should be kicking in. If we know that we have strategies that work and we have objectives that are reasonable and we're able to repeat these every year, then we should be able to do that and it costs us less because we know the system and we know the tools, and often tools and systems have an upfront cost to them, and then the more you use it, the less expensive it is. So what is it costing you? And then how quickly are you going to gain back your money with each customer? You know, if it's going to take us just a month to get our money back or one sale, that's great. Some large corporations that do large transactions business to business, they'll even say up to a year is totally acceptable that it takes for them to get all their money back on the expense that it costs them to get that client. But they know they're going to have that client for 5 years, and it's a great deal the other 4 years, so it's worth it. So you need to know how quickly. If you get your money really, really quick, in general, that might be a clue that you could put more money into gaining new customers. And it's okay to increase your cost of acquiring a customer because you'll get more customers in the long run. The money works out. If it's taking you too long to get your money back, if maybe 3 or 4 months is too long for you, it means you might be creating a little bit too much risk in investing your money that way, because what if a customer doesn't stick around long enough for you to get all your money back so that you've invested up to that point? So these are some numbers just to kind of play with back and forth. Another thing is, what is the relative cost of a client, acquire them, to the lifetime value? You know, I average $800 or $900 a new client for me for every new client that I onboard. That's about how much money I spend in marketing. But the lifetime value is worth it. That seems like a lot of money, but not in the long run, because the way I do business with the relationships and their willingness to work with me, how much how much I charge, I get back within a very reasonable time period. So with these numbers in mind, your goals and objectives for each year become very clear. We look at last year, what we spent to acquire a new customer. We know this year we want to decrease it. And then we go through that whole strategy and objectives and looking at our numbers of our budget last year and figure out where can we pump it up and where can we shave it back. Yeah, any thoughts to add to that, Victor?
Nope, I think you've done a fine job there.
All right, well, just one other thing, too, talking about situations. One situation is that you could be a new company, and you have to really know how much capital you need in your business to make it profitable. I see a lot of great businesses that when they go out of business, you kind of wonder, like, well, what happened? That was, it was a good restaurant. It looked, I enjoyed eating there, but they're not around 2 months later, or a store. It's very likely the cause is just not enough money was invested or planned to be invested in acquiring the customer base that was necessary over the length of time. If you can look as a new business at other comparable businesses out there, see how long it took them to get to being profitable. It might mean that you have to network to get to know the business, but other owners so you can get that information, but that's good to know. Is it going to take me a year to get the client base? Is it going to take me 2 years?
Okay.
And so that's something to remember when you have a new company. Also, mature companies, if they defer maintenance on their marketing, they just don't do very much for a long time. Their website gets old. They don't build their email list. They're going to try to get that on track. It's going to cost them a lot of money. It's going to have higher cost of client acquisition for a while until they get that machine rolling again. And then companies that have an aggressive growth plan will tend to spend client acquisition until they get to a stage where they know, I've got the number of people coming in the door as regularly as I want to. This is the size of the operation I want to maintain. And then just remember, new markets, new products, anything that you're trying to pursue as a company is always going to have additional costs because there's just so many unknowns and things that you have to work through, or you really just have to put more out there to get the exposure that you need. So if your business is changing a lot in services and products, then expect to be spending a little bit more on marketing than if you stayed the same. So it's not about monthly costs. It's about what is your company's strategic future. Where do you want to be in 5 years, and are you willing to invest now to make that happen?
One thing I would add here is that, of all the things we put out here, that I wish there was a magic bullet we could give to everybody, bottle it and sell it, and we'd all be millionaires. But there is no exact formula here. It varies for everybody. You've got to give this time to work. Don't give up on this. Don't do it for a month. Don't do it for 3 months. Give it at least 12 months. Tweak it. Go back. Try it again. Keep tweaking, tweaking, tweaking. This will work if you stick with it in the long term. And you can't do it alone. We talked a little bit earlier about needing stakeholders to get buy-in. Make sure you include everybody in this, that you really need their help and support, and get their agreement to help you. If you can't get all the help from the inside, either above you or below you, go get some outside help from a CPA, business coach, marketing firm, etc., and delegate. And you saw in the form there how you can delegate responsibilities to people to get it done. Don't forget, it's still your responsibility to make sure it happens, but you can delegate the actions that need to be done to make it happen. And then don't ignore your hard work. Don't stick this in a drawer. Leave it out where you can see it. Review it regularly. If you have monthly or quarterly sales meetings, pull it out, look at it, rewrite it, tweak it, redesign it, adjust it, but be realistic. Give yourself permission to miss some goals. You're not going to get all of them, but it's better to do something than nothing. Implement now, perfect later. Marguerite?
Yeah, my calendar's popping up here. All right, so we are going to leave you guys with some more resources. Other than the 3 documents that you've already been emailed, the spreadsheet, the goal-setting sheet, a template of how to write a persona, We also would like to share with you a marketing metrics ebook from me. It's what you, if you're the boss, should care about, or if you have a boss, what they actually do care about, so you can speak their language. Goes into more about that stuff I talked about with client acquisition and, you know, lifetime value of a customer, things like that. And from Clark Incorporated, they have a fabulous book that they've created called Managing Marketing Media. It's designed for the non-marketer, the person who has to do it all and figure it all out. And these two things put together are going to make you a very smart person moving forward along with the tools that you got today. So I'm going to respect our time because I know it is up. We have executed 1 hour here. I hope you have enjoyed it. I know Victor and I have very much enjoyed sharing this. And look for an email as a follow-up from us with a connection to these resources and a video on recording link to this so you can watch it again.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.